Tonight on the news at 10, in the Gifted universe, there's an attack on Creed Financial Base. 37 people are dead. Are they inside out? Find out then. Also, there is a foster home that was lit on fire. Possible survivors? We'll find out. But what's on everyone's minds and what everyone needs to know? Where is Lorna putting her baby? Is she sending it off to Switzerland? Is she giving it to her aunt? Is she relating to her father who ditched her as a child? We're gonna find out because now we're on the dating game. Welcome to the Gifted After Show.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz
I entered the dream.
No. This is a different
You
dream
told me
song.
this was the dream song.
This is a dream song that was in the show by Bishop Briggs. Dreams.
Oh my God, it's
you're
like-
reviewing me right
Yeah.
now. I need you to stop.
Yeah, I'm reviewing you and it still hasn't disabled you or gotten you to stop talking.
No.
It never will.
Never.
It-
Too powerful.
The power of love overtakes the power of Reva's voice. We're talking about The Gifted, Season 2, Episode 8, entitled Dream, with a capital M.
But not Dream On.
Dream
Just Dream.
on! No, it's just Dream!
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. It was not an action-packed episode tonight, but it was an emotional-packed episode tonight. We unloaded a lot of baggage because it was packed. These metaphors work beautifully. Joining me tonight is the amazing, lovely, beautiful, model-esque Tehran.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you?
And then we have Steph Sabra.
Average.
And then we have somebody so committed to this show that they'll show up when there's not a show.
What?
Heather Wake.
Yo, where were you guys last week? It's all right. It was just me.
She was here. She was ready to go, but you, the fans, did not show up.
There was no show last week. We do all know this, right? Does
You guys
Heather know
missed the
this?
7.5 episode. It was quite action.
I actually just planned to skip an episode. Like there was that. Like I didn't skip an episode.
Well,
Sadly, no.
The Gifted has done that themselves, so I can understand if we did it as well.
Okay. So I guess this is episode 8, right? Yeah, this is episode 8.
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
Right after 7.5. That's right.
Okay, cool. We're good. We're ready to go. Overall thoughts, y'all. What did you think?
I love this episode. It was really emotional for me. You know, I'm a relationship fan of Lorna and Marcos, and I wanted to see them reconnect. So I'm glad we got that moment, and I'm glad he called her out. There's some tension between Blink and Thunderbird, which kind of annoyed me, actually. But all in all, it was a really great setup episode.
Okay, so there is a reason why I accidentally came last week.
Tehran, what did you think of tonight's episode?
Come on. No, I have been waiting for this Lorna-centric episode. Like, I've been so excited about it. I've been stalking Emma on IG, and she even posted about it. And I was like, oh my God, Lorna is like one of my favorite characters. And I'm actually going to say that I wish they had gone a little bit further. I wouldn't have minded if it had focused just on them, if we had done more flashbacks or if the conversation had been longer, because I sort of felt like they kind of dug deep. And I agree that it doesn't have to be action-packed if we really delve into the character arcs. And I felt like they kind of did that. And of course, at the end with like the headdress reveal was like, yes.
Wait, so you would have preferred them completely ignore that the end of last episode was Rebecca killing 37 people and just focus on Marcos and Lorna this episode?
I feel like structurally it can be really dynamic for a show to totally go off the
Standalones.
structure and sort of dive deeper into either a character arc or a relationship. I feel
so
like
episode 7 of Stranger Things season 2.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe their execution of that not so much. But like the one I'm thinking of is like Orphan Black, the last season.
I see
you know
where
what I mean?
Heather's
Okay.
going. I understand what Heather's saying. She's wrong, but I understand what she's saying. And
No, I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
This episode, like, you guys loved it. Meh, it was good. It was okay. I enjoyed the episode.
Not
I
enough
understand
Reva for you.
That no Reva, no Tehran. Let's be very clear about that, especially coming off a Reva heavy episode. Last episode, the whole entire episode You pointed out all the good things. Well, I'm going to point out some of the flaws. The fact that we were missing the Jace story. We all wondered what happened to Jace. Something would have been nice. Riva, we were missing that component. So these are things that we were running through our minds the whole time. Where's Jace? Where's Riva? Other than that, we got a half episode, and what I mean by that is because the flashbacks were excellent. The Lorna story was great. Even going into the Lauren concept and going to the doctor, all that was great. A lot of it could have been done in half the time, and that's all. It was.
You mean we didn't need her going across a campus and throwing frisbees?
What we didn't need, not only did we not need the frisbee, we also didn't need the music video at the end. That was a 90s remix where Tori Amos was inspired to come back out with another album. Like, we just didn't need that, especially since the last episode was so chaotic, created such content. A lot of loose ends were left, which I know is going to be covered later on, but I wanted those ends to be followed up as well, considering we saw Rebecca, the murderer, and no one wanted to apprehend her. That's also a concept. Anyway.
I mean, how would you have liked them to apprehend her?
I don't know.
Next episode.
I wish they had powers. Oh, but wait, they do.
I mean,
or maybe let's call somebody.
This is one of the few times where I'm going to disagree with Tehran on being upset with a plot hole like that. I don't think it was a plot hole. I think they explained themselves pretty clearly with Blink and John. I think, for one, she turned them around without them even knowing she was there. And she very easily could have just killed them. And I think the reaction to that Blink had was very realistic of like, you think you're immortal, you're not. Like, he didn't even realize that they could have just been completely killed at that moment.
Yeah.
And they already prefaced that Blink can't use her powers around Rebecca using hers with 100%, the weird thing.
But that's actually why I felt like it was a loophole, because he didn't realize he could have just died. And that's why I was like, why did he not even bring it up? I'm not saying they should have apprehended her. They should have actually just acknowledged that apprehending her should have been a concern.
But they don't know her role in this. I mean, I guess we're talking about it now, so we can talk about Rebecca and the Inner Circle. Nobody knows her role in it. The only people who know that she murdered those 37 people are the people who were there.
Yep.
Everyone else just assumes that those 37 people dying were part of Riva's plan. So, like, even if they're apprehending her, they just know she's crazy. They don't know that she's, like, out for blood.
And what bothers me is that they sort of victimized her, sort of, in this episode. They kind of weakened her character. I thought we were going to go down the path where she was in the Inner Circle, but she's becoming more and more dangerous, maybe even saddles up next to Riva a little bit more, but then they just, by kicking her out, I'm like, well, where...
She's a teenage girl who wants to be popular. And she was in a group where
she's
people...
also a sociopath,
Well,
though.
yeah, but she's in a group where people are lording over her. All of this money is being given to her, like, in terms of, like, she's in this building, everything's great, all these training places that she can just use her powers to her heart's content. She has a usefulness, people are on her side. And then they throw her away like a dog, like her parents probably tried to do when she killed them. Like, it's not that she's weaker, it's that her ego took a blow.
I guess we just lost the danger of her character.
Well, she's not a sociopath. Let's clarify that. She's a psychopath.
Yeah, I thought about that when I said it.
She's
You're
not
right.
a sociopath. She actually does have these fluctuations of emotion. She may suffer from some histrionic disorder, but she's not a sociopath.
I agree. Right when I said it, I was like, oh, I meant psychopath. Hopefully nobody corrects me.
I mean, I think what's interesting with her character
and
is
my
that
powers reveal themselves.
So I just watched the first episode of Last Man on Earth, and I wasn't a fan of it. But the whole concept of rules not existing because you're the last person on Earth, it's very similar to Rebecca in her state, in that, like, you are attributing the rules of society to somebody who, by their genes, is above them. Like, by her ability, is not held to the same standards as other people. Like, you can't... It's like putting a dog in a cupcake factory and being mad at the dog that it ate the cupcakes. Does that make sense? Like...
No.
I just got blinded by the visual.
Really? So...
Yes, it did make sense.
It made sense.
Yeah, because, like, you're taking a girl who killed her parents, like, she hasn't had the ability to retain somebody, any form of authority in her life, to teach her the opposite way. So this is her way of life. Her way of life is getting rid of the things that are in her way.
I understand that. Do we often attribute these same characteristics to criminals? Now, let me explain. If someone carjacked someone and got caught, we wouldn't be like, well, their parents taught them to carjack, or they never had someone tell them not to carjack. We would be like, this is wrong. What she did is clearly wrong. Now, with Rebecca's character, and it played perfectly well, we see this arc of developing lack of understanding or awareness. She's just lashing out. The lack of remorse comes because she's obviously projecting her anger, and we see that. And her powers do create it. But this is the biggest thing about Rebecca. Rebecca is proving the purifiers right. She is exactly what people are afraid of, is the Rebeccas of the world. Yeah. So when we see a Rebecca out of this situation, then we have to go, hey, maybe those guys aren't so wrong.
I mean, that's accurate. It's the issue between, the more that they create it between humans and mutants, the more people like Rebecca are going to view humans less as people they should care about. Mm-hmm. Like this divide and this war that she started kind of like lit the match to, in terms of like, now the other match was lit on 7/15, but they've kind of set things in motion for people to be more divisive. And it's going to be interesting to see where people land on either side of that. Because if you're on the fence, then you're not involved, but you can only stay uninvolved so long. So I'm interested to see where, the Morlocks land on this. I'm interested to see where the Underground lands on this, or where half the Inner Circle or half not the Inner Circle. Because we have Esme and Lorna doing their own thing, kind of like working together outside of Riva's control to put the baby somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's just when you have to be black or white, like, where are these people going to choose? And black or white, obviously not.
Sure. Yeah. Sure, Steven. Sure. Make this racial white on you.
God damn it. You know what I meant. So yeah, I like where it's going. I don't think they weakened her character though. Steph, you haven't really talked on this.
I see where Heather is saying, in terms of she kind of became softer and felt like some sort of way when they were doing the bank heist, she was a completely different persona. But I think that's a part of her disorder, honestly. She has a lot of mixed emotions and clearly can't handle them. I thought there was key words that she said and heard when Lorna said, "You don't belong here." Obviously, that was a part of her upbringing in some sort. And when she said, "I thought we were supposed to be able to live in a world where we can do what we want," it became clear, kind of, I wasn't clear on what she really wanted in this life, but that is what she wants, and that makes total sense. So she's a great addition to the cast. I actually think she's a wonderful actress. So I'm curious to see where she'll go, but I don't think she was playing the victim. I do think I see what you're saying in the
It's interesting. Preteen. I have a prediction regarding that. I'd love to bring it up later, but just to throw it out there, what if she gets rescued by the Morlocks, and that causes a big conflict?
I don't think she looks different enough to be rescued by the Morlocks.
I mean, just rescued as in she's a mutant on the run. Who knows?
I'd be interested to see her end up in the hands of the Purifiers.
You're just a horrible person. I just want to throw that out there.
Nobody knows that she's the one who did that. It'd be interesting. You can play up the card of that she's a young girl. Like, if you're pushing Jace further towards one side, like a young girl that he thinks couldn't be capable of something like that, and he tries to put his neck out for her as a mutant just to protect her from getting killed by the Purifiers, and then she kills all the Purifiers, like, that would push Jace to another side entirely. I don't know. It's interesting to see where her character could go. I think they separated her from the Inner Circle because she needs to end up among something different. And I don't think it's going to be the Underground, because it's only going to take
it can't be
Lorna or Esme telling them that, hey, this girl killed 37.
Yeah, and then no. But I think she's really important to show the difference of how there's so many different individualistic ideas in groups, and then we all decide that group's based on the one extremist, which would be her.
And would be the guy with the crazy 50 cal.
And it would also be the people that decide to pull a bank robbery. Let's not lessen their crime because we believe in their cause. That's not how the law or society or civility works.
We cannot morally compare slaughtering 37.
We got a
people.
lot of. You're right.
Obviously,
we
you've
got
never
a lot,
lost a lot of money.
We got a lot of hate on YouTube for saying the Morlocks could be considered a hate group. I'll change my perception to more of a gang. The Morlocks are more of a gang. They brand themselves with marks and commit crimes in the name of their gang.
Yeah, and it's very much about exclusivity, loyalty.
Yeah.
Staying within the group.
So I can register that they're not so much a hate group, they're more of a gang outside the realms of it. Let's move on to Marcos and Lorna and the baby, because holy mother God, we have a lot to unpack here and we don't have that much time. So loved the flashbacks. We don't need to recap what happened. I just want to know how you guys feel about it.
I mean, it's just so sad because I mean, I'm not a parent, but I tried to put myself in that situation, just think what I would do, you know, like I'd like to think that I would put my child's safety above all else, but what is safety without having the love of two parents? And I mean, I'm leaning towards Marcos, I just wish, I mean, I get where Lauren is coming from, but it's like, God, you're taking away so much from that child, but also I'd rather them like not deal with the child in the show as a viewer. So I mean,
do you agree with the fact that Lorna's just having 100% say over this child's life?
That's what I was gonna say. No, it's crazy that she's completely taking the say over it because two people make a baby. We all know this, and he's had no say. And like he said, how can he say goodbye to someone he doesn't even know? But in terms of the flashbacks, I loved them. I think that it was so strong for Lorna to see her describe like having bipolar disorder, having the only one with green hair, and then the arc with realizing her dad was protecting her, not protecting himself. Like it wasn't selfish, it was selfless.
It's like you say that, but at the same time, you know, the flashbacks are all about how they both have daddy issues. They both have parental issues. And Marcos's are a lot deeper, and he made his promise that he would never do that to a child. Lorna obviously didn't have a relationship with, they don't name drop, but Magneto. She had other parents who died. She had foster parents that died. And she's doing exactly what Magneto did for her. And that's where she's connecting. And that's why she dons the cowl at the end of it. Great moment, by the way. I love that she turned the coin that he got, which I'm assuming is adamantium or whatever the cowl that Magneto is to block psychic energy. I'm assuming it's the same material. Otherwise, why would he just give her like a red coin of metal?
Agreed.
But it's just interesting that she's making this decision based on her issues and her relationship with her father, and completely discounting what she related to Marcos on in the beginning, is that Marcos just doesn't even matter in this play. Marcos's father didn't abandon him to protect him. He just was a terrible father. And she's basically belittling Marcos's promise to his daughter completely.
That's true.
And it's just like, I know we like to ship Lorna and Marcos, but after this decision, I don't see them ever
reconciling.
Yeah, I don't see it being possible at all. And I loved the line where he's like, "Are you gonna say goodbye or not?" And it's like, I don't even know her. Like, this isn't even my baby.
Great line, amazing situation. All of you guys, I can see where you're coming from. All of you are wrong, and I'll explain why. Clearly, Lorna made the right decision. This baby is, and this is a place of privilege. A lot of immigrants have to do this. You don't want to ship your child to a foreign country and be raised by strangers or by distant relatives or whoever, but you know it's the best for them. And this is the best for the baby. Lorna is in no position by endangering this baby at all given times. Anything can happen, especially being around Psycho Rebecca at times. That's endangerment. Marcos is in no better position. Look at where you live. Look at how you live. You barely have food sometimes, and you want to just raise the baby because you think love is all it takes. It is not. And so by placing that child in a place that the child will be cared for, raised properly, given the love and attention and food and just normalcy that a child needs to be raised, Lorna has made the actual motherly decision. There's no way that this is not difficult for her, but she understands the value, especially being placed in the situation, coming to the conclusion on her own, the value of being placed
on her
in a secure
own
situation.
You just said it though, on her own.
Sure, and that sucks, but you know what? Let's not look at it as in, oh, on your own. This happens all the time here. Like this is a constant thing. A lot of times, unfortunately, historically, we give that responsibility to the mother. period. We do it legally, we do it morally, and we do it fundamentally. So this is not the first or last time that something like this would happen. I can understand the man's case. I can understand that. Definitely has position. He's wrong. And as the mother, she did the right thing.
I disagree.
why is
I
she-
don't disagree that the act was logically the right decision to make. That is not what I'm disagreeing on. What I'm disagreeing on is that it wasn't a conversation.
Sure.
It wasn't a discussion.
Not fair.
It wasn't, and nothing about this baby's life has been.
100%.
And so I'll agree that that baby's in the safest place it could have been. But the thing is like Marcos isn't dumb. Marcos isn't like throwing things at Lorna when she comes to the door, being like, I hate you. How could you do this? He's just not even given an explanation. And in the end, technically, he did have a hand in the decision for her to give it to the aunt instead of saying it to school, because he asked those questions. She deserves to be loved. She says she deserves to be loved. She deserves to be with family. So Lorna's answer to that was putting it with the family that she had growing up. But what I'm saying is it could have been a discussion very easily of her being like, this is what I want to do. I don't see any better options. I don't see why their relationship has to be so cut and dry of like, Lorna's making all the decisions, Marcos, deal with it.
On a timer too.
Yeah, and like, oh, we're out of time, let's go. I'm like, where's the timer? You're at a hole somewhere that nobody knows where you are.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I disagree with a lot of Lorna's ways of handling things. And it's not that she's a bad person, and it's not that she's a bad character, because it all stems from her childhood and everything like that. But I just feel like it's drama that normal people, which season 1 made them kind of seem like, wouldn't have found themselves in.
All instance of normalcy has gone out of them. They are done being normal. They are mutants on the run. This is a mutant terrorist group. I mean, there's a lot of things, and the most normal thing about Lorna right now is her green hair. So the concept of normalcy is gone. I do say that I understand where that comes from, and I agree. However, when men do the same exact thing, when a man just leaves the family, no one disdains the man. Like, you know, we have terms. We have terms for a woman who gives birth like out of wedlock. We have terms for that. We have a term for a child, a bastard, when they don't have a father. But what do we call a man that leaves his family? We just don't even have a word for that. You know, a family man is simply a guy that stays with his family. That's the only responsibility that guy has. So while this brings up those conversations, we do as a society, when things go bad, we blame the mom. So this time she's flipping it. When you want to know what's inside out, not just Rebecca's power, the way that she's taking control. And it doesn't mean that I agree with her actions, but I understand them.
Tehran's superpower is that he can't end a conversation without sounding poignant. So you're not
Amazingly.
wrong. We're both not wrong. Steph's not wrong. Heather's not wrong.
No. Steph and Heather are wrong. I apologize. They're wrong.
So what's that name for a guy who can't let women be right?
Oh, mansplaining.
No. It's actually not because they're women.
kidding.
It's only
Gaslighting.
because
Just
look,
kidding.
from the guy who brought up black and white, I can't speak to you.
We got 5 minutes left. We got to talk about the Struckers. This,
Douchery?
Thought that one passed.
oh boy. So the Struckers. We finally got the Capri Sun.
Frisbee!
And we've doused Reed's arms with Capri Sun, and now they're not flaming anymore. It's not going to hurt that bad, but it'll be uncomfortable.
The lies.
So we've the metaphor they used was a dam that broke, and now she wants to permanently fix that dam by keeping Reed there for observation. Throughout that, we meet this dude who's wearing an ironic t-shirt and then plays frisbee, but pays a 20 for a frisbee. I don't know. Super weird side story to get. I think it's just showing Lauren what life could be like if everything was normal, to create this discussion in her mind of like, wait, they want to take mutant powers away, and that's really bad. But I could be normal. And other mutants could be normal. So, I don't know. Thoughts, guys? What do you think Lauren's going to do? Do you think her conscience is going to prevent her from being able to take things away from mutants, or will she...
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a plot C or D at this point. I mean, I guess it's sort of been dangling with the entire time with Reed's backstory, but I'm kind of like, is it necessary? I don't know.
I think she's gonna take the vials back. But I also think it was a setup to see that Andy and her are fully connected.
I think this is a foreshadowing of them giving Lauren a gene blocker for herself that'll work like the one for her dad, where it's like temporary. And she's going to have to use it to prevent Andy from doing something. Because what it basically
Nice.
it did when she stuck the needle was it showed that
Andy
the
felt it.
medical reactions happened to him. So if she blocked her X gene, it would happen to him as well. Just as the doctor said, like they were like two halves of the same mind. So everything that affects Lauren will affect Andy. So I think that's kind of my prediction based
Love
on
it.
that.
That's a great prediction. 100%. I like that. But I do think that the gene blocker thing, it was very interesting that the doctor, what was her last name? Simmons? Simmons or something. The doctor was the sister of the
Leader of the Purifiers?
the
Yeah.
leader of the Purifiers.
Suspicious much.
And it's showing that the extremes on both sides are actually the same side.
Yes and no. So her idea of it, and this is why it's not necessarily evil, is like,
Choice.
yeah, this is really getting into like comparing to the abortion situation, where it's like it's not necessarily a life, but this is a choice that people could make. But the problem comes when it becomes not a choice, is when you create something that's meant to take away powers and it's a choice. Oh, if you want to get rid of your powers, you can live normally, you have to take that. But then when you create something like that, it will also create the opposite side of the coin, where it is no longer a choice.
Did anyone else get a vibe where it was like homosexuality, where if a parent wanted to be like, I don't want my child to be homosexual,
Yeah,
I will give them.
totally.
That's a better example than
No,
the
actually, I
abortion one.
like the abortion one too, but that's when you
gonna be a
personally-
soundbite.
or older now.
No, I think they're both similar.
I like
where
abortion,
it could
too.
be like cool for an individual who feels like that's the choice they want to make, but with that becomes like a patent, and then now the government, everyone has access to this and can make it.
Well, it's also dangerous if you could block all the mutants' powers, then
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's going to be a purifier extreme group that tries to block all mutants.
Well, it also just kind of makes a weird case with Shauna. We're introduced to Shauna, who's a mutant who has Down syndrome, which was great inclusivity because it basically is saying like, not just normal people like us are getting the mutant gene, everyone on Earth. So whether it's somebody who's of full mental capabilities or somebody who has one of these disabilities, they're still also activating their X gene. But it raises the dangerous point of like, oh, we let her keep her powers because they're harmless. Like, oh, you have control over whether she kept them or not. So it's like kind of a really weird dynamic that we get at this doctor's office, where it's like, oh, this girl, she is hurting herself by absorbing all the energy, so we're going to let her metabolize it, and then she'll be normal.
She's got a doctor complex. She's playing God.
Yeah.
Where she's the one making these decisions based on what she finds within the realm of her idea of what's okay and what's not.
Do you think this has anything to do with what regimen is? So regimen is what we've brought up with the inner circle, where they wanted data. If the purifiers are, and her brother is the head of the purifiers, are financially supporting this doctor, whether she disagrees with them or not, and they've already shown that they can hide where the money's coming from, what if the doctor doesn't even know that her brother's in charge of giving her all the research money? And she's at a very nice place researching this stuff, developing it, gene therapy and all that. I mean, what if this is all coming to heads with her research as the linchpin of the season?
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
I think that could definitely be it, because it's been kind of foreshadowed since season 1 that was what they were trying to get at Reed's dad. Originally, Sentinel Services, they were trying to find this type of the background information that she was using to make this X gene suppression. So I feel like that's definitely possible and probably true. Like gonna happen.
Well, the concept is, if you remember, like 2 episodes ago, a prediction was specifically that that's what they were looking for, is that there's this something that suppresses gene mutant powers, and they're looking for that.
Yeah, I
Taking
think.
that off the market.
I mean, when people give you an
made that
antibiotic,
prediction, so.
what is it called? You have a regimen of antibiotics.
Yeah.
Like I think regimen is this drug, and purifiers have all her research, whether her computers are hacked or whatnot. I think they have all her research.
Yeah.
Or they've
Whether she's-
infiltrated.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see Rebecca lose her powers next episode.
That's a lot of predicting there, Steven.
It is. Why don't you guys predict?
Let's
In
get
fact,
into
I predict that
predictions.
everybody should subscribe to this YouTube channel.
No, this is
And-
what I feel. I feel like the AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. And while you're at it, get some Capri Suns. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they are optional. So hit that subscribe button now for the channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know how you did and that you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Yeah, the notifications are optional, just like your mutant powers will soon be. Predictions. Heather, go.
I predict that there will be an episode next week. And I will be there.
Even if there isn't, you're going to show up
I will be there.
Regardless.
with bells on, because it's Christmas time.
Bells on.
be
Jingle,
there.
jingle.
Go ahead, Mr. Tehran.
I think we're going to need to find out more of Reva's plan, so that's definitely a place. And then there needs to be a Rebecca Reva reckoning. Rebecca, not only did she undermine Reva, she murdered someone she cared about personally, and also she sabotaged the entire point of the plot, so of the plan. So I think that's definitely on the horizons.
I agree. I really want to see them in a room because Reva lost someone she actually did like. And I think Andy and Lauren are going to be reconnected either by dream or in person.
I really like Steven's prediction on that, actually.
I just had another thought. They just stole the data on Regimen. They have Sage and they have all the money in the world. Reva's gonna use Regimen on Rebecca.
Oh.
Reva's gonna take away Rebecca's powers.
If could
Can't
it be that
Reva just do that with her power?
If she uses her powers like
She
that.
is Regimen.
She is.
Kind of, but no, like I think
Reva,
that
the
would be
Regimen.
powerful. And that's our show, guys. Let's end on a high note. Where can we find you guys? Where can we find you, Heather?
Well, on Instagram, you can find me at heather.wake. On Twitter, you can find me at heather_wake.
And Tehran.
I don't have as much punctuation as Heather. However, you can find me at I am Tehran, because literally I am Tehran. Tehran. It's like the capital of Iran. So if you don't know how to spell it, just watch Fox News.
Oh my God. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabra.
And that's been the news for us tonight here on the News at 10 KCLW, the Gifted After Show. You can find me at Stephen Lemieux, STAPHNLAMIEUX. In other news, there's a cute puppy on Instagram. Search hashtag Dogs of Instagram. We'll see you next week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.